In this video, we have a look at ABS and which one is actually better. And how do we know? Well, we compare it on a circuit as well. Hello everyone, and welcome to this slightly different video. You know what happens. You look at my face, only temporarily, and we'll get straight into the video in just a second. If you haven't already guessed by the video title or the thumbnail, we are talking about ABS, which is the anti-lock braking system that you have in your road car, but we also have in Gran Turismo and pretty much every racing game you ever play. Now in Gran Turismo, we have three settings. We have off, we have weak, and we have default. And I've always used default, to be honest with you. Now, Consta came into the stream a couple of weeks ago and said, Tidge, why don't you try weak? I was like, okay, I'll give it a try and just see what it feels like. Well, it felt like the car understeered less. Now, was that a placebo or is that a fact? Is weak faster than default? I keep being asked these sort of questions all the time. I have done a previous video on ABS in terms of GT Sport. We're now testing it in GT7. And this week, in terms of the daily races, this week as we're watching it, which is week commencing 22nd of April, literally, we've got a perfect track to also try it out as well, because it's quite small and very few corners, so we can definitely see if there's a difference there in one or two corners. Now, ABS, if you're not sure what it is, essentially stops the wheels locking as you hit the brakes hard. Now, as you come down the speed, so initially, the car will not lock its brakes, but as you come down the speed, the tyres will lock up. I don't fully understand the physics behind it, but they will eventually lock up at lower speeds. I've had it happen in real life in race cars before, and it happens in games when you turn it off. And we might probably see that a little bit later on in this video as well. So the ABS system is designed to stop the wheels locking, so you brake better, more efficiently, and therefore slow the car down quicker. It's a really good safety feature in road cars. It's a really good feature in race cars, because guess what? You can brake quicker. It means you can brake later. You can brake better, and hopefully do a faster lap. That is the point. We're going to do a couple of tests, and we're going to find out if off is faster in Gran Turismo 7, weak is faster in Gran Turismo 7, or default, what I've always been using, is faster in Gran Turismo 7. So without further ado, let's go to the brake test first of all, which is literally just testing the ABS in Gran Turismo 7 in terms of its stopping power, and which one is the best at stopping a race car. Right, here we are then in an Audi R8 LMS Evo GT3 car, so a race car. Now, top left, you've got no ABS. Top right, you've got weak ABS. And down at the bottom, you've got default ABS as labeled with the text there. What we're doing, we're accelerating all the way to 1,000 meters, and then we're going to start braking right here. Now, you're going to go, Tidge, the no ABS is after the line. Yes, so I've lined these up to exactly where they start braking, okay, which is why the time frames are a little bit different. What we are going to do is time the braking down to 80 miles an hour. And here we can see the default ABS is braking better than the other two. Weak ABS is only a mile an hour behind. No ABS is 3 miles an hour behind the default here. We continue until 0 miles an hour, and you can see the default ABS and weak ABS hasn't changed much. It's still 1 mile an hour difference, while there's still 8 mile an hour on the no ABS. Now, as we continue on here, it's taken, I don't know, what that's 3 frames or something like that for weak ABS to then catch up. So that's on 0 now. And then what we're going to do then is continue there. So literally 0.2 of a second there separates the default ABS to no ABS, which is significant. It shows that default ABS is far better. So what I was talking about earlier, the ABS system allows you to brake better, more efficiently, because the no ABS, we had wheel lock in there. Weak ABS was very close though. So default and weak ABS seem to be very close indeed in terms of stopping the car. Now, it will depend on the car, of course, and its stopping power. And I also use automatic gears here just to avoid the impact of, human intervention with the gears downshifting as well, if you're wondering about that. So it's automatic. They were the settings used. Default ABS was the best set stopping to 0, but weak ABS was basically the same time frame. It was literally 0.03 of a second. What we're going to do next then is we're going to actually go to some circuit racing now. So it's Lago Maggio Centre this week commencing 22nd of April, week 17 of the daily races. So you can check out that week's racing if you really want to on the channel. What we're going to do is we're going to do some runs. Default ABS versus weak ABS, and we're going to see what's quicker, because remember what I said originally. I felt that the car understeered less the second I went to weak ABS. Right, here we are then at Lago Maggio Centre, and we're in the Alfa Romeo because that's what I used in the morning, of course, for the weekly race guide. And what we've done here is we've initially gone out on default ABS, and we're doing 10 laps on time trial. That's all we're doing here. We're just getting a feel for it. I'm chasing the best Alpha Ghost I can find, which is what I normally do, and we're doing a time trial how I normally would, just on default ABS. Now, this is the fastest lap that I do in this particular session. Now you're going to say, Tidge, if you exit and rejoin, surely the conditions change. You're right. So I'm actually only going to do is hit the retry button and change the assist. That's all I'm doing here. So it stays in the same conditions. So it's literally like for like. And we're going to be doing this twice, actually, because, I'm getting warmed up initially in this run. And you might go, Tidge, you're just warming up in this run. And you might go quicker as you go through the runs, essentially. But we'll see. There's a 46.9 there for you. What I've done is just pause it there actually on the final lap. And at the bottom, you can see the optimum there, okay? Which is a 46.935. And I look at optimum like I do in the car profiles because that is the theoretical best in that session. So what we've done there is we hit retry and we've gone on low. And we're already quicker there on a 46.871. And we're already down to 46.800 there down in the optimum. So we're already going quicker than the default. It's interesting, if I'm honest with you. It's very interesting indeed. So we're going to continue on with this lap, and you can see here we're still gaining time there. Had to lift off a little bit. But I will say this. When I did this run, once again, it felt like the car was understeering a little bit less. Just a little bit. And I have a funny feeling it's to do with the braking. And I will explain that in just a second. We come to the end of the lap then, coming into this hairpin here. Got to get round as best as we can. Accelerate out of the corner. We get a good run on the exit then. We're going to head towards the line. What is this going to be then in terms of a fastest lap? It's got to be a 46.8 somewhere, isn't it? 46.837. Now, optimum hasn't changed there and stayed at a 46.800. Interestingly, both fastest laps were around lap 8. We're definitely more in the 46s here in this run. And what we'll do, we'll compare the optimums here then. So on the left is the default and on the right is the week. And we can quite clearly see there then that we are 1/10 quicker on the week. Interesting to say the least, in my opinion. What we are going to do then, and it looks like sector 2 as well, is the primary factor there, I guess. No, actually, both sectors seem to be quicker on week. What we're going to do then is go back into defaults. This is another run. So this is straight after the week run. And once again, we're going again. This time, we actually have improved to a 46.880. Critically, this is lap number 4. So you can see we've gotten straight into pace very quickly here on the default setup. I say setup, default ABS. I've not changed the setup at all here. I am using brake balance 5, just to put that out there on all of these runs. Brake balance 5, because that's what I use in most situations. Which also explains a little bit, potentially, why I feel like it's got less understeer. We're going to continue towards the end of this lap then. We're looking at an optimum 46.880, which is not as fast as the week at the moment. We'll see what it's like at the end of this lap, and then, obviously, at the end of the session as well, after the 10 laps. As we continue on out of here, we are going to improve here. It looks like it's going to be a 46.8. Oh, what's that? 6 maybe? Let's have a look. 46.861 there. So it's not as fast as the week run there. And as we jump to the end then, 46.853 is the final optimum. It's still not as fast as the week fastest lap. So it's half a tenth down there on the optimum already. We go to the week run then here. This is the second week run that we did as we head towards turn number 1. Look on the right hand side there. So close on the laps. The last 2 at least here. And once again, we're going into a fast run. We're already quicker again on the optimum than the default ABS run 2. As we go through this right-hander. It did take me a little bit of time to adjust back to the week. As you can see down on lap 1, 2 and 3, we're in the 47 zeros. Then we started getting our pace back up. And very quickly, now we are really pushing on here as we head towards the end of the lap. Then in towards the hairpin we go. Slowing the car down nicely once again. And it just seems to turn better. Again, I will explain this in just a second, what I feel like is happening as we head towards the line then. And let's see what kind of lap time this is going to be. Is it going to be breaking our record, actually? It looks like it will do. Yeah, 46.802 into the 0.7s then in terms of 46.791 in terms of optimum. So we went quicker again here. But critically, both week runs, their optimums, were quicker than both of the ABS runs. They really were. And you can see there, once again, half a tenth difference between the two. So there very much is a difference there. There is a difference. Now, let me explain what I believe is happening here, first of all. Because I'm running brake balance 5, when I'm going into these corners, with the ABS not impacting the brakes as much, it's allowing the car to rotate a bit more. Therefore, giving the effect or feeling that the car is understeering less. As I trail brake into the corner, guess what happens? The rear rotates a little bit and it goes in. It might be that the wheels are micro-locking a little bit and it's forcing that rotation, or it could be allowing the brakes to just work a little bit better. You know, you're using more of the brakes. When ABS is on default, obviously the ABS is kicking in and it's reducing that braking to avoid the wheels locking. So, I feel like on brake balance 5, the second I hit the brakes on weak, it's just allowing that little bit more rotation. And it definitely felt like that. Now, I did do a default run, not a default run, sorry, an off run. So ABS off, and the rear instantly rotated in that situation. So that surely shows that going between the three, the less ABS you have, the more rotation you have on brake balance 5. That's what I feel like is happening. So I also went and did the trial mounting daily race time trial. I did 5 laps on each. I only did 1 session on each. And what we're going to do is start off on week this time, because some people are going to say, you started on default, Tidge. So I'm starting off on week, and then we will go to the default setting. Okay, here's trial mounting then, and the week runs. We're going to head towards turn 1. I'm following my ghost again that I did earlier in the day, which was actually done on week, weirdly, because I only realised after that I was on the week. So going through this left-hander then, we should be equal to this ghost. Going into this tunnel, you're going to see a bit on the ghost there. Notice the wiggle on the ghost. That was a struggle on week. So the rear just came out a little bit there. We're going to see the difference on default, of course. Going into this right-hander, this is another place where I saw the oversteer. You saw it on the ghost there, a little bit on this car as well. Very much a little bit more oversteer going into the corner. Obviously, that reduces understeer because the car is pointed in the right direction. We can accelerate out. Going into this left-hander then, slowing the car down here, keeping it nice and tight, accelerate through the corner. We will fast forward the straight a little bit here, but I want to start talking about something I noticed here. One of the problems with weak is that obviously the stability of the car is reduced. One of the big things in Gran Turismo is its weight transfer. So as the weight shifts in the car, it's more extreme in Gran Turismo than other racing games. So if you're suddenly getting more oversteer in the car or rotating the car even quicker, that weight's moving even more on whichever side you're turning against, essentially. So obviously going down here, the right side of the car now is going to have a lot of the weight of the car. As I accelerate out of here, potentially the rear is going to go, doesn't it, in this situation, because we managed it quite well. So with that in mind, the stability and risk increases on the weak ABS. It really does. And I definitely felt like in this run initially when I started to get out there on this one, obviously this is why I'm doing weak first rather than going to default then weak, is to literally do it in a different order to the previous one and show you whether it's stronger or weaker. Now we crossed the line there at 50.788 in terms of fastest laps. We'll change to the last lap there. We do 5 laps in this session, so 10-minute run essentially. And it's down to 150.682. Again, I noticed more extreme behavior because the weight is shifting more. However, I did notice less understeer because the car could rotate more. So they correlate to each other in terms of the weight transfer. I definitely can feel that in the car. We go to the default run then here, and let's have a look at what happens in this run then. So coming in towards this left-hander, absolutely stable as you like. I try not to use the brake now into that turn just for this test as we go through the left-hander. We seem to be doing okay, to be honest. We seem to be matching the ghost up ahead. As we come into here, the car felt very stable indeed. In fact, it felt like I could brake that tiny bit later. Potentially I can, because obviously we saw in the early test, braking down to 0 did actually help a little bit on default. Very stable in the braking zone there. I could trail brake a little bit more. Continuing through here, then we're actually up on the sector versus the weak. But again, remember, this is the second run. All I did was hit retry, change the assist setting to default. This run should be quicker if there is no difference, because I'm literally doing another 5 laps in very quick succession. Therefore, I should be getting more used to the car. Now, I will say the car definitely felt more stable and definitely felt like it understeered just a tiny bit more. It was only a tiny bit, but it was noticeable enough where I could feel like I was having to wait for the car to turn. Going to head towards this left-hander then, and we're going to go hard on the brakes. This is a corner that you will experience a bit of oversteer, on exit on the low setting, on the weak setting. Default there was absolutely fine as we go up here. Now we are 2/10 down on my actual fastest lap that I've done here, which is the ghost we're following, but they're with potentially different conditions. We know temperature is impacted on each of these sessions. A little bit of oversteer there on the default, so it's not all said and done in terms of stability, but it definitely did feel more stable. Notice there, you can see the understeer just that tiny bit more going into that corner. That's very much a trail braking corner. You can definitely see more understeer impacting the car. We're going to head down towards the chicane then, slowing the car down as we go towards the left and then the right here, changing gear. So there's no real impact there in terms of steering without the braking. So ABS is literally doing what it should be doing, which is literally just the braking. There doesn't seem to be any more grip with weak or anything like that. I think the critical thing, and I've said it before, is the fact that I can trail brake, and because I've got more of the brake in use on weak, the car rotates a bit more. And I think that's what is the impact in terms of reducing the understeer. In terms of optimum then, the 150.708, I do believe that is actually slower than the weak. In fact, what I'll do is I will put them all together in just a moment. 3, 2, 1, there we go. So default has now gone to the left-hand side because that's where it was previously, and weak is on the right. So yeah, it's still slower even after jumping straight into it again. That says to me two things. Weak is definitely a tiny bit quicker, but I will also say this. Weak presents a lot more risk in terms of your driving. It really does. Once again, I use +5 brake balance here just because that's what I normally use. And I definitely felt I had more rotation on weak. So in conclusion, what I'm going to say is this. It's an interesting and probably not a crazy finale. Weak is a tiny bit quicker than strong in most situations. And I say most because if a car is extremely oversteery already, weak is going to be far worse than default because you're going to be oversteering more and causing even more stability issues than you already have. However, if a car is already fairly stable and then you apply the weak, obviously it's going to rotate a bit more. You're going to go to +5 to get more rotation into a corner. It's going to become a lot stronger. So weak in that situation becomes a better driving aid to use rather than the default ABS. Default ABS isn't that much slower. We've seen that across both of the tests there. Even at the trial mountain one, which is 1 minute 50-second lap, it was only just off. So don't feel you have to switch to weak is what I'm trying to tell you here. Don't feel you have to switch to weak. Maybe try it if a car is understeering a bit too much and you just want a bit more oversteer or a bit more rotation. Maybe then try weak. But other than that, you can use default and they're about the same. If you do struggle with a car, make sure you are on default because that's going to be the best way to go about it. That's going to be it for this video though then, folks. I do hope you have enjoyed it. A bit of an interesting one, bit of a different one there. Having a look at ABS, what is stronger, off, weak, default. Weak is definitely a tiny bit stronger in my opinion, but it's a lot more risk in terms of driving as well. So do keep that in mind when you use it. Once again, a big thank you for watching. 2 videos there to check out. Of course, my logo is there if you want to subscribe to the channel. And a big thank you for watching. I do appreciate all the support. We are on that journey to 50,000 subscribers. Thanks once again for watching, and I hope to see you in another video or live stream again very soon.